All right, this is Mr. Wyrick. So today I'm going to be going over this 323 using congruence criteria set of notes with you. The first thing is this is our cheat sheet. So if you need, when you're working on the Delta Math, you can have this up and you can have this like split screen with your Delta Math so that you can kind of remember these things. But we're going to go over each one of these individually. We're going to talk about some things that don't work, and that'll be it for the notes. So the very first one is SSS. So we've been talking about what is it that makes triangles congruent. And what we've been saying up to this point is you have to have all three sides and all three angles as congruent before we can say that they're congruent. But we understand more than likely that there should be some shortcuts. Like, we don't really need to go through all of this, do we? So these are the ways, these are the mathematically proven ways that you can say, okay, yeah, this is enough to say that these triangles are congruent. So the very first one is side, side, side. If you get two triangles and you can see that all three sides are marked congruent, that's enough. It's going to make the angles congruent because that's the only way all those sides will be exactly the same. So if all three sides are congruent, that's enough for us to say side, 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 these triangles are congruent. The next one that we have is side, angle, side. We have two different sides that are congruent, this blue one, this red one here, and then the included angle. So this angle that's touching both of those sides is what makes this side, angle, side, okay? It only opens up this much, and it opens up that exact amount, so it's gonna make that third side congruent. It's gonna be just like side, side, side. This is enough of a shortcut. These are enough pieces to say it's congruent. The next one's angle, side, angle. It's kind of the reverse of side, angle, side. We have two different angles that are marked congruent, and then the included side, the side that touches both of those angles, is also congruent. That's going to mean that this is enough. Okay, the way that these open up, the fact that that's the same means these other two are going to be the ones that close that distance down and run into each other there. So that'll be enough to prove that the two triangles are congruent. The next one is angle, angle, side. Very confusing between angle, side, angle and angle, angle, side, but look at the pictures. For angle, side, angle, both angles are touching it. For angle, angle, side, we have two angles and the same relative angle is touching that side, okay? If this side was over here touching the lavender, it wouldn't work. If you look up angle, angle, side, and some stuff like that, you can see like what happens there. But just keep in mind how different these are. This one's angle, angle, side. If we have two angles that are congruent, and then the side that's outside of those angles in the same relative position, that's going to be enough to prove that those triangles are congruent. Then we have hypotenuse leg. This is one of my favorites. If we have a right triangle, now this is not like, we don't care that this angle is here, all right? What we care about is this angle proves that we have a right triangle, and then we have the hypotenuse and one leg. This is basically the same as side, 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 because for these, the Pythagorean theorem is going to come into effect, and the Pythagorean theorem only works on right triangles. So if we take the Pythagorean theorem and work through it, this third side is going to mathematically be the same. If we had the other leg there, we could just say side, angle, side and not do any calculations, but the hypotenuse leg, we can use Pythagorean theorem and say this is the same as side, side, side. All of these are going to be congruent. Now, there are a couple of shortcuts that don't work. If you just say here, if we have angle, 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 the angles are not enough to prove congruence. We can have, it's a pretty easy thing to think about because you have yield signs. And yield signs are basically an equilateral triangle, and you can have them at different sizes, but the angles would still be the same. If you have an equilateral triangle, no matter how big it is, all of the angles are 60. So just having all the angles is not enough to prove congruence. And then this last one, just a nice little saying that I like to have. We throw around a lot of A's, a lot of S's. You have to be careful when you're throwing around a whole bunch of A's, a bunch of S's. So I just say there's no donkeys in geometry. Side-side angle does not work. There was a little animation that I linked to before that showed why. You can actually, if you have two sides in the same angle, you can kind of switch around that last one to where it goes in two different places, and it makes it to where they're not congruent, even though they have those things matching up. Okay, then we have CPCTC. This is just a shortcut of saying we can work backwards. If we know that these are side, 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 then we can say angle A is congruent to angle D because of CPCTC. Corresponding parts of those congruent triangles are going to be congruent. Okay, so we can use that in both directions. So just looking at these, a couple examples here. On number 11, this is a right angle, but we know it's congruent. We're not doing any kind of hypotenuse leg here. So this is actually going to be angle side angle. We can see the angle side angle between the two of them. These two are congruent by angle side angle. Number 12, all the sides are marked, so this is going to be side, side, side. Number 13, this is angle, 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 so it means they are not congruent. At least we can't prove it with what we have. Then this one down here, we have a side, we have another side, and we have the angle that's between those. This is going to be side, angle, side. On the next one here, on number 13, we have all the sides marked. We have all the sides marked. This is side, side, side. They are congruent. On number 14, even though they are flipped from one another, we have side, we have another side, we have the angle between them, that included angle, so this is side, angle, side. On number 15, it looks like we just have an angle and a side, but the missing marking here is that we have this angle at the middle. So that's going to be angle, side, angle on both of these. And then number 16, this is what I'm talking about looking confusing. We have an angle and a side. We can say our vertical angles are congruent again, so we have angle, angle, side, and that side is in the same relative location across from this small angle. So we know that that one's going to work as angle, angle, side. Okay, your assignment for today is going to be on Delta Math. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Refresh this list. I'm sorry, taking a little extra time. So right here, the congruent triangles, and what the skills are going to look like today, it's just this one section, and it's going to say determine the relationship, say if they can be proved congruent. So on this one, I can see a side, an angle, and a side. So this one's going to be they are related by side, angle, side. It has to be in that order, so they can be proven congruent. Okay, be on the lookout. You'll see some of that angle, angle, angle. You might see they put it as side, side angle, just to be super careful. This one, don't get fooled by this one. It's right triangles, but the hypotenuse is not marked. So this is not going to be hypotenuse leg. I can see a side and another side and the angle between them. So this should be side, angle, side. Okay, you can see on here, here's the side, side angle. Remember that doesn't work, no donkeys in geometry, but you still select it as how they are related, and then you say that they cannot be proven congruent. Okay, but for this one, this is side, angle, side, so it's going to work. All right, hopefully that gets you going in the right direction, and we'll see you tomorrow.